Showtime.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com How about now? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the pre-party where if there isn't at least one mistake a show, you get the show for free. I'm your host, JCal, and I am jacked up because the NWA is returning to pay-per-view in 1 week, 7 days. In 7 days, the 10 pounds of gold returns to pay-per-view. The Miracle Mike Bennett challenges the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Some people call him the Dealer. Some call him the National Treasurer. I call him Mr. Primetime Live himself, Nick Aldis. And he defends that legendary championship belt in Long Beach, California. That's awesome. That's terrific. Do you know how long it's been since that 10 pounds of gold has been in Long Beach, California? We'll get to that in a minute. Also, in just a mere, 50 minutes, you're going to see the latest edition of the 10 pounds of gold. Now, you know that 10 pounds of gold is going to be hyping, and I mean hyping, that main event match between the Miracle Mike Bennett and Prime Time Nick Aldis. You know that's going to happen. But what else? What else do we see in that? There's a big story to be told there. This is a redemption story for Mike Bennett, and it's a reestablishing story for Nick Aldis. Now, he won his first title defense in 7 months just a mere 2 weeks ago in North Richland Hills, Texas, when he defeated Nobi Bryant. And we already lost the camera, man. It's one of those days. It's one of those days. And guys, you know, I'm so jacked up. This energy is different, okay? This is good. This is a good thing, guys. This is a great thing because not only do we see the 10 pounds of gold returning to pay-per-view, but we're getting more stars of the National Wrestling Alliance and more stars from the United Wrestling Network converging in Thunder Studios in Long Beach, California. September 15th is 1 week away. If you haven't done so already, go to Fight TV. Order the pay-per-view. Right now, well, I don't know if the offer's still going. You'll have to double check. But they were offering the pay-per-view with a $5 credit if you ordered early. That means that each episode, if you order the bundle, comes out to $5 an episode. That's a bargain, guys. 90 minutes of wrestling for $5. That's a deal. And if I've heard some of the people say, well, hey, WWE is $9.99 a month and I have access to everything. Sure, enjoy it. I'm talking about finding the stars of tomorrow. I'm talking about finding some of the best unsigned names in professional wrestling. Miracle Mike Bennett, Nick Aldis, that's the headline. But you also get Hammerstone defending his West Coast Pro Wrestling Championship against EJ Sparks from Championship Wrestling from Arizona. You're going to have the United Wrestling Network Tag Team Champions, the Static. They'll be there. And we have Mr. Anthony Idol here in the chat room, who is, this weekend basically got robbed from having an opportunity to wrestle for that Hollywood Heritage Championship with Watts. What role will Mr. Idol play? What role will Mr. Watts play? Will Ray Rosas be in attendance after he was attacked by Static? Will he be there to defend the Hollywood Heritage title and the Arizona State Championship? We know that Levi Shapiro will challenge the United Wrestling Network TV champion Dan Joseph. We know Thunder Rosa, coming off her AEW pay-per-view debut at All Out, who was unsuccessful in winning that women's championship, but 100% successful in establishing herself as maybe one of the greatest women wrestlers of our time. Guys, I'm jacked up, and if you aren't jacked up yet, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Order the pay-per-view. If you're not committed to watching the first 4 episodes, buy the first one for $7.99. It's a little bit more expensive. You're not getting the bargains, but you're going to get some great wrestling action. So let's talk about the NWA. Let's talk about historically the National Wrestling Alliance in my home state, Southern California. Now, a lot of you guys remember A lot of you guys remember David Marquez promoting NWA Hollywood and the NWA Pro Wrestling Showcase. And it was affiliations with the National Wrestling Alliance, of course. And we saw a myriad of NWA champions come through this territory. I mean, of course, we had Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, Colt Boom Boom Cabana, the Blue Demon Jr. We saw those champions defend those titles in Hollywood, California. We saw the tag team champions, be it Los Luchas or the Real American Heroes or the Skull Crushers. We saw the national champion, Phil Shatter. We saw the North American champion, Apollo, or later Mike DiBiase. We saw those NWA champions here in California. But we're going to specifically focus on the 10 pounds of gold. You know, a lot of people don't understand the connection that the Southern California market had to the National Wrestling Alliance. And I don't blame you, because a lot of you guys haven't even saw the 10 pounds of gold series that is coming back tonight in 45 minutes. But the NWA and Southern California have always had a strong relationship. Well, not always, but had a very strong relationship dating back to 1933. Yes, I know that predates the NWA, but as a wrestling territory, Southern California was often going back in the 30s. That predates the television era. You had territories in, of course, Los Angeles and Hollywood, but you also had San Bernardino, San Diego, Santa Monica, Santa Barbara, and of course, who could forget Long Beach? In fact, the first wrestling event on record was in 1933, January 3rd. It was headlined by Nick Lutz defeating Hal Rumberg. It ended in referee stoppage, and in the final of the 3 falls, it was a 2 out of 3 falls match. The Los Angeles version of the World's Heavyweight Championship was first defended in Long Beach on August 19th, 1933. Now, that title would later be unified when Michelle Leone, the Baron Michelle Leone, would lose to Lou Thez. The NWA was formed on July 18th, 1948, some 72 years ago. And it would be roughly about 3 years, July 5th, 1951, when Lou Thez would bring the 10-pound... Well, let me correct myself. It wasn't the 10 pounds of gold. The NWA World's Heavyweight Championship to Long Beach, California at the Municipal Auditorium. He would defeat Wee Willie Davis 2-0 in a 2-3 falls match. Now you have to remember, the NWA back then, all world title matches were 2 out of 3 falls. That was the gimmick that went with the 10 pound with the NWA World Championship. And of course, that title would return to Long Beach in 1952 on July 24th, when Lou Thez would defeat Carl Davis. And then the very last time, I keep saying 10 pounds of gold. They are not interchangeable. The NWA World's Heavyweight Championship would be defended for a final time in Long Beach, California on August 30th, 1952. After 1957, the WWA territory, which was basically the Grand Olympic Auditorium, would split from the NWA. Now, they would rekindle the relationship in 1968, and they would be called the NWA Los Angeles. And although the title was defended in SoCal, it would never appear in Long Beach again, because the Municipal Auditorium closed in 1975, and that was to make way for the Long Beach Convention Center. Now, that's more history on the city of Long Beach than you probably care to know. But during that time, we still had Terry Funk, Harley Race, and Ric Flair bringing the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship to Southern California, just not Long Beach. Now, when we talk about championship wrestling from Hollywood, it's funny because, in 2006, they were running arena shows all across the country. 2006, 2007. The Hidalgo Arena in Hidalgo, Texas. In Kissimmee, Florida, I don't remember the venue's name. The Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, multiple times. It was always Dave Marquez's goal at the time to run at that Long Beach Convention Center. You know, Long Beach Convention Center is what replaced the Municipal Auditorium. So, the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, again, hasn't been defended in Long Beach since 1952. Now, the NWA promotions have been involved with events in Long Beach, just never the 10 pounds of gold. The former NWA affiliate Mach 1 Wrestling, they were an affiliate of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The late John Ian, who we talked about earlier this year, who passed away, would run events in concert with the Long Beach Comic Con. They called it the Wrath of Khan. They had 3 events there from 2009, 2010, and 2011, which would feature stars like Nick Madrid and, of course, Eli Drake. It was also, that would also be the home, the Long Beach Convention Center, would also be the home for Vendetta Pro Wrestling, who became an affiliate of the NWA in 2013. And they, too, would run in concert with the Comic-Con, but again, would never present an NWA World's Heavyweight Championship during those shows. In fact, the last NWA World's Heavyweight Champion to wrestle in the city of Long Beach, well, that would be Cody Rhodes. Now, he didn't defend the 10 pounds of gold in Long Beach. He was actually wrestling against Juice Robinson, and that was the event where he won the IWGP US Championship. So as you can see, there's been a long, historic relationship with the Long Beach and the NWA. The fact of the matter is, Miracle Mike Bennett has a lot up against him, because there's never been an NWA World Champion to lose in the city of Long Beach. The title's never changed hands. So history has no twin. Maybe that means Miracle Mike Bennett has an opportunity to shock the world in 7 days. Or maybe it just means Nick Aldis will continue to roll on this wave of success and walk into Long Beach Thunder Studios as your world's heavyweight champion and walk out as your world's heavyweight champion. Guys, I'm jacked up. I'm pumped. Woo! Like the Nature Boy, guys. This is the pre-party, and we actually have something to pre-party for, because in a mere 45 minutes, the NWA brings back that 10 pounds of gold series. And I don't know how many of you guys actually remember the start that kicked off, that launched Billy Corgan's vision of the National Wrestling Alliance, but it was that 10 pounds of gold. Tim Storm is an amazing wrestler, and Tim Storm was a great world's heavyweight champion, but nobody knew who Tim Storm was outside of the Southwest region until the 10 pounds of gold dropped. It wasn't until the 10 pounds of gold that everyone started to know who Tim Storm was. And the first season of the 10 pounds of gold was establishing who Tim Storm was, what Tim Storm stood for, and basically showcased his mountaintop. Oddly enough, that was with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The Ocean View Pavilion, home for many of NWA World Title matches. The second season showcased a hungry Nick Aldis and launched his Aldis Crusade, where he took that World's Heavyweight Championship to 4 different continents in a matter of 6 months. Whether it was defending in the United Kingdom, his home country, or defending in the United States, he backed down from no challenger. He did something Harley Race could not do. He did something Ric Flair could not do, and that was to bring the 10 pounds of gold to China. No NWA champion had ever been to China before. This was a big deal. And it was all captured on the 10 pounds of gold series. The House of Hardcore, matches in Australia. Again, 10 pounds of gold captured these moments. The 10 pounds of gold really set the tone for what the NWA was efforting to accomplish. It really opened up the door. I don't believe there would have been a 70th anniversary show without the popularity of the 10 pounds of gold. Hell, there wouldn't have been any involvement in All In had Nick Aldis and Tim Storm and Dave Lagana and Billy Corgan and David Marquez have not put together this 10 pounds of gold series that made that title mean something again. Because for many people, that they just assumed that title belt disappeared. Our good friend Dr. Robert Stinson would call it the wilderness years, when the NWA would fall from the public eye. You know, after Rob Conway finally wrestled his last match in Japan, Hiroshi Tenzin was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and he would lose that title to Jax Dane, and that would be it. Then everyone assumes the NWA just fell off, but that wasn't the case, obviously, and if for you diehard fans, you know this. I'm not speaking anything different than what you already know, but if you're new to the NWA, if NWA Power is your first taste of the National Wrestling Alliance, there is a rich history and tradition that you should definitely check out, and a lot of that was documented since 2017 until the Crockett Cup 2019 of that history. So I'm jacked up, guys. I am jacked up about what's coming in 7 days. Again, order it now, $23.99 for 4 episodes, 90 minutes long, featuring talents from the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network. And honestly, I mean, Hammerstone is an MLW guy. You guys know that. Hammerstone represents MLW. He's their open weight champion. He's also the West Coast Pro Wrestling champion. Who else is going to show? Did you know that New Japan Strong literally tapes in the same building that Championship Wrestling from Hollywood does? By the same production people, Dave Marquez and company. So, they're even seeing a crossover from some New Japan Pro Wrestling talent into Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I mean, we're seeing talents like, in the past we saw Carl Fredericks wrestle in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood against Ryan Taylor. Was a stellar match. But now you're seeing more and more Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and New Japan working together. You're seeing, of course, Rocky Romero is an alumnus of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, but now you see guys like, Danny Limelight entering the foray. You're seeing Adrian Quest enter the forefront of the NWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling. You're seeing this amalgamation of talent. And when we get 1 week away from the United Wrestling Network's Prime Time Live, guys, I don't know how much harder I can sell this. I don't know how much I can sell you on the idea that this is a good thing for wrestling. But it's coming. It's coming, guys. And like I said, I am jacked up, brother. I'm jacked up. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Nick Aldis, because I don't want you guys to think that he's just sitting idly by waiting for these matches to roll up. I mean, we talked a little bit briefly about it last week. He was ranked number 15 in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated's top 500. He's working with Fight TV as a special correspondent. Literally interviewed Go Shizaki from All Japan Pro Wrestling just last week. I mean, he has not been sitting here idly by. He has been putting in the work. Have you seen him if you go watch the This is the NWA podcast with our good friends Dr. Robert Stinson, Will Martin, and of course Gary Horn. I mean, they had that scoop, that exclusive with Nick Aldis, who said he's been training like a madman. And he had that energy, he had that look in his eyes that, maybe we haven't even seen in a while. It's all starting to come together, guys. And again, if you're a fan of the NWA brand, this is a very important part of our history, our collective, the hashtag NWA fam. This is a monumentous occasion, because tonight, and like I said, in about 40 minutes, we're going to see the NWA return with its 10 pounds of gold. We're having the world's heavyweight champion return to pay-per-view. And I gotta I gotta say, and I might be wrong, but I feel like a return of power is upon us. I feel like it's coming, guys. You know, they've said, the NWA said that they're not going to do anything until they can include an audience. And I respect that decision. Although I do not agree with it, I respect it because I understand what they're trying to accomplish. But the fact of the matter is that NWA content is being created. The NWA, the machine is rolling. The smokestacks are, shooting out soot. The NWA is here, guys. So that was me talking for about 20 minutes. Let's read your comments. Let's interact. This is a very interactive show. Of course, you guys are very important to this hashtag NWA fam. It's not just JCal. It's all of us. We're in this all together. All of the NWA content creators, all of the NWA fans. I mean, we're all in this together. We've been carrying on how great the NWA had been up until COVID-19. We have all been talking about it. And I'll be honest, guys, I think it's because of our interest and our salute to the NWA. That's why it's still here, guys. It would have been very easy for Billy Corgan to say, that's a wrap. But the NWA survives. Nick Aldis is still your world's heavyweight champion. Shooter Aaron Stevens is still your NWA national champion. Thunder Rosa, for crying out loud, walked into AEW, and although she lost the title match, she still came out a winner because now the whole world knows the best kept secret in professional wrestling. And I don't care what Allison Kay says, even in defeat, Thunder Rosa had the look of a champion, had the skills of a champion, and again, people are paying attention. Those eyeballs have been opened. Alright, so let's get to your comments, because I do love some comments. And of course, you guys were quick to tell me that my mic was not on, and I apologize. But we got a mic that's working now. Terry McDermott says he's so excited. Now, Terry McDermott, he used to help out with the NWA Unfiltered page. Now he's helping out with the Y'all Like Wrestling Facebook page, which is connected to the Alliance Blog Facebook page. So if you guys want to check out Y'all Like Wrestling, Terry puts out a lot of great historical content, a lot of stuff from the Southwest or Southeast. I highly recommend it. Check out Y'all Like Wrestling on Facebook if you're on Facebook. Dave Scooby said he's so ready for Primetime Live. It's Dave Scooby, from your lips to God's ears. Let's get this going. Let's go. Lamb's late to the party, but you know what, brother? It's all good. Yeah, Anthony Idol was here. I don't know if he's still here, but I'm a huge Anthony Idol fan. I'll tell you guys an Anthony Idol story if he's still here. I'll tell you the story anyways. When I was the managing editor of SoCal Uncensored, there was a wrestler by the name of Mike Camden who was voted the SoCal Rookie of the Year. I believe that was in 2014. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's 2014. And, well, Mike Camden got hurt the week before we were going to present the award to him. And I kept checking him out, checking on him. Hey, I'm coming down to SoCal Pro, which at the time wasn't a short drive for me. They're in Escondido. I was living in Moreno Valley. That is not a short drive. I said, hey, are you going to be there? Yes, I'll be there. Are you sure you're going to be there, Mr. Camden? Yes, I'll be there. Okay, because I know you're hurt. Are you going to be there? Yes, I'll be there. Great. I have this award printed out, and I'm proud of these awards because we actually are giving wrestlers a physical award, something we hadn't done prior to 2014. And so I'm on my way to Escondido, which again is like a 2-hour drive, well, an hour and a half drive. And I'm at the SoCal Pro training center where they were doing their light matches. It's the first time I ever saw Danny Limelight wrestle. And I talked to Jeff Dino, the owner of SoCal Pro Wrestling, and I'm like, hey, Jeff, I've got the award. I haven't seen Mike Camden. Is he here? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. He'll be here. No worries. Okay, great. Well, at the time, Mike Camden was feuding he was feuding with Anthony Idol, the neon icon. And so I go into the ring, and the SoCal Pro announcer gave me this great introduction. Hey, representing SoCal Uncensored, this is JCal, and JCal has an award he'd like to present to our very own Mike Camden. And there wasn't a lot of people there, but there was enough people that, it was a pretty cool reaction. And it was like only the second time I've ever stepped inside of a professional wrestling ring before, so I was excited. And here comes damn Anthony Idol, when it was supposed to be Mike Camden, with his manager in tow. And he tells me nothing. He walks into the ring, and I'm holding that award, and I back up because, I'm a spectator. This isn't my world. I don't belong in the ring, and I understand that, and I respect that. So, of course, I back up, and I'm ready to hand him the mic, and he rips the award right out of my hand. Literally cut my finger doing it. He stole the award. Could you believe it? I mean, of course you could. Why couldn't you? It's the world of professional wrestling. But that was always such a kick for me because I'd never been involved in an angle before. A couple of times B-Boy used me as a prop in a wrestling match, but that was the first time that I was involved in an angle. And I guess somewhere Anthony Idol still holds that award where he had crossed out Mike Camden's name. Didn't take the paper out, but just left the certificate in the frame and crossed it out, put his name on top of it. It was pretty funny. Don't forget that Anthony Idol was far removed from a rookie, but nevertheless, it was a funny moment. It was a funny time, and it was cool because afterwards, I actually got to talk to Anthony Idol, somebody who I had spoken to before, and I found a whole new brand of respect for the guy who knows his wrestling. He was dedicated to the sport. This wasn't just a fluke. He wasn't just some guy. And I'm so happy to see him involved with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I hope that spills into United Wrestling Network because I think Anthony Idol would certainly fit in with the retro vision of the NWA. And I think he would certainly fit in with that group from Power. So, more and more of your comments. All Japan Stan said, "Preach, Jay," and I appreciate that, Stan. You know that. You're my brother. Dr. Robert Stinson says he loves the historical excursions. Yeah, I mean, I do too, man. That's what I love about professional wrestling. I mean, it's cool what's happening right here now in front of us, but the history behind it. I mean, in Southern California, I mean, we had Terry Funk versus Chavo Guerrero for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. They went to a 60-minute draw in San Diego. Had the same match again the next night in Los Angeles. Terry Funk was successful in retaining his title. But with the Guerreros and Tolos and Freddie Blassie, and you start talking about these names like Gorgeous George and Baron Leone. I mean, there was such great history in Southern California, and we're not even talking about what was going on the East Coast, in the Southeast, and the Southwest, and the Midwest, and the Mid-South. I mean, there's these stories aren't exclusive to SoCal, but I mean, there's so much rich history and tradition, and the times have changed. I mean, these stories used to get covered in the newspapers. The Los Angeles Times would be reporting on wrestling. That doesn't happen these days. But it sure was fun. I mean, if you have the access, you could go find the microfiche articles about these matches, about the Santa Monica Arena, about the Legion Stadium in Hollywood. It's so crazy how rich this history is, and it's well guarded, and I hate that about wrestling. Enough with the gatekeeping. Invite everybody in. If you don't care about the history of wrestling and just want to watch WWE, great, man, go do it. And enjoy, have fun. If you just want to watch Ring of Honor, if you just want to watch AEW, do it, bro. Enjoy it, because wrestling's for everybody. Everybody. Robert Stinson says, "You know how much I believe in Aldis, but I'm concerned that this is starting to feel like an upset in the making to me." I mean, you're not the only one feeling that. I mean, Mike Bennett is counting on that. Dave Scooby says, "I feel this match will set Mike Bennett up and build his rep as a rejuvenated wrestler. He looks ready to go." He certainly does. I mean, the promos are coming from the heart. The hard work he's putting in, the gains he's getting in the gym. I mean, gains are not loyal. And he's working hard to make that. God, he looks great, man. He looks great. Willie Bowen says the sons of Kevin Von Erich make an appearance on the United Wrestling Network. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Ross or I can't remember the other Von Erich's name right now. I haven't heard anything about them appearing, but it certainly would make sense. I mean, what is MLW doing right now? If you could get more wrestling and competitive tag teams, I mean, why not? The Von Erichs were great. They wrestled in, I believe it was Pro Wrestling Noah. Again, MLW. I think they had a few appearances in Impact. It'd be great to see those guys associated with the NWA, with that rich history, that tradition, that name. Jeff Meacham says he decided to watch here instead. Yes, he was watching on our Instagram Live. Jonathan, he's super jazzed that the 10 pounds of gold is back. Haven't smiled this big about wrestling in weeks. And that's great news, man. I mean, look, Jeff Meacham and the Meacham Wrestling Network, he covers the WWE. He covers everything. You want to follow wrestling, you can go follow it with Jeff Meacham. But the NWA is something special. It's that secret sauce, man. Nobody else has what the NWA has. Nobody. And you can't convince me otherwise. Jonathan Burnell says Primetime already ordered, so they have at least one UK viewer, so it is international. Should the NWA bring back 2 out of 3 falls for championship matches? That's a great question, Jonathan, and I kind of think they should. I mean, I was at the 70th anniversary show, the 2 out of 3 falls match with Cody and Nick. That was a thing of beauty, and I know a lot of people will say, hey, you know, it's overkill. They could just do 1 fall. But there's a certain je ne sais quoi with the 2 out of 3 falls match. It's pretty awesome. It's hype. It gets you hyped up. That's a tie to the history of and the legacy of the NWA. So, of course, I think that they should bring back the 2 out of 3 falls match. NWA is supreme in pro wrestling. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about NWA Supreme, which used to be an affiliate. Yes, I agree, Willie. Look, WWE exists, and you can't take away from the fact that they're successful. They've monopolized the sport, and it only just now are there true alternatives to what they are doing. However, it's not my cup of tea. And a lot of my favorite wrestling talents wrestle for the WWE. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan. I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan. In fact, he's probably my favorite wrestler. Claudio Castagnoli, excuse me. Cesaro. I mean, the WWE is chock full of great superstars, great wrestlers that I would love to see walk into the NWA. AEW, likewise. Scorpio Sky, one of my guys. Great roster. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. I mean, but none of those have that extra sauce that the NWA has. All Japan Stan says, I think Marquez is the link between the USA and Japan. Interesting to see what could happen with this new show. Absolutely. And that's the thing. There's so much that could happen. I mean, look, Jay White was just in Hollywood. Excuse me. Jay White was just in Port Hueneme for the New Japan Strong television taping. What if Jay White decided to go down to Long Beach and challenge our world's heavyweight champion? And let's not sleep on the fact that our third-degree Mongrovian national world heavyweight champion, Aaron Stevens, lives in Southern California. Maybe he shows up on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Or maybe he shows up in New Japan Strong. I mean, New Japan Strong just brought back the artist formerly known as Darren Young. So who knows? Robert Stinson responded to Jonathan Burrell. Great question. I would be 100% for it. It's about the only gimmick that I can get behind, maybe a cage match every once in a while to wrap up a feud. Absolutely. And then Craig S. says he's also from the UK. And did you guys hear that Nick Aldis said that there was a plan to bring several NWA talents to the UK and do a tour of some of the United UK wrestling promotions. I mean, I thought that would have been great. That would have been epic. And let's not forget, he was still supposed to go to Puerto Rico to defend against Carlito. He was supposed to have a few other matches that got postponed because of COVID-19. So we might see some more of these matches show up later. Craig S. agreed with me. He also thought he meant NWA Supreme. Terry McDermott says, do you think we'll see David Arquette again? I don't know. I mean, I just purchased the documentary You Cannot Kill David Arquette just a few days ago. I watched about half of it. It is certainly there's elements of real life in there, but I feel like it might be more fiction than fact. I do want to say that I was there the night that he was at the AWS show and got dragged into the ring. I don't know if that actually made the DVD or not, or the movie or not. But I was there when he wrestled RJ City in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I thought he did a terrific job. Peter Avalon certainly got Arquette in good enough in-ring shape and in-ring awareness and in-ring skill to put on a plausible match. David Arquette also wrestled briefly for the NWA as part of that pop-up event they did last January. But ultimately, I mean, he's still an actor. He's still, he doesn't really, I mean, did he earn respect? Sure. But do I want to see him on every show? No. And if you're watching out there, David Arquette, I would love to interview you. You are welcome to join us anytime on the Alliance Guys podcast, because I would like to pick that brain of yours and like to talk some wrestling, because if you're such a fan of the game, I think you would enjoy shooting the breeze with another wrestler head like myself, and we could talk about some of the history of professional wrestling and, of course, what the future holds for yourself and the world of pro wrestling. Willie Bowen says Jay White and Nick Aldis would be a great match. Well, and then think of it this way. There would be no downside for Jay White if he were to enter the NWA and challenge for that 10 pounds of gold. If he lost the title, it really wouldn't impact his career. It really wouldn't impact New Japan Pro Wrestling. But it would certainly give a nice boost to Nick Aldis and the NWA. But of course, I mean, there's 3 or 4 things in the way: contract negotiations, time and availability, and of course, greenbacks. Dollar bills, y'all. I crack myself up sometimes. But I mean, it's been an incredible week. It's been an epic time for the NWA. If you're a fan, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I also put out on Twitter that I was looking for some questions for today's show. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Instagram. I'm going to go and I'm going to bring those up if you just bear with me here. Okay. That's, of course, why would it work when I need it to? Maybe I won't be able to get to those questions. Bear with me, folks. Okay. Here we go. Alright. So, some of the questions that you guys asked today, if my phone will be cooperative, which it is not. Well, this is fun. Well, one of the questions that I saw earlier was, did I think that Mike Bennett has a chance at winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship? And I'm going to tell you, yes, 100% he has a chance to win that title. He absolutely has a chance to win that title. But I don't know if he's gonna win that title. I mean, Nick Aldis is approaching 700 days as world's heavyweight champion. That doesn't happen by accident. Sorry, I'm still trying to get these questions up, so bear with me, please. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Do you think that the world's heavyweight champion is going to change hands in 7 days? And I'm going to answer honestly, no. I don't. I think Nick Aldis has momentum on his side. I think Nick Aldis has that victory that he just had 2 weeks ago in Texas when he defeated Nobi Bryant. I feel like he's ready. I think he's jacked up. I think he's in the best shape of his career. He's had time to rest any nagging injuries. I think his head is in the game, and I think Miracle Mike Bennett is biting off a lot more that he can chew. That's my honest take on that. The other question I had, as the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, has the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion ever been defended in Long Beach, California? And yeah, as we talked about previously, the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion was last defended in 1952 on August 30th against Mr. Moto, and of course that was against our champion Lou Thesz. Another question was thoughts on Mike Bennett. I think this is a great time for Mike Bennett because, a lot like Thunder Rosa, nobody's expecting Mike Bennett to win this title. If he can shock the world and win the title, then the world is his oyster. But if he doesn't win, if he comes out to that match and gives Nick Aldis everything he's got and pushes that man, the national treasure, the dealer, prime time Nick Aldis, if he pushes him to his limit, everyone's interpretation, everyone's thoughts, everyone's beliefs about Mike Bennett are going to change. No longer will he be the laughing stock of WWE storyline. He's going to be a big deal. And the fact that he's a former TNA X Division champion, he's a former IWGP Tag Team champion, he's a former Ring of Honor Tag Team champion. I mean, it's not like he's a slouch, guys. I'm expecting big things. The next question is, what can be done to make the NWA Tag Team division stronger? Well, James Storm and Eli Drake are as tough as they come. How do you make that division stronger? You need to bring more tag teams in. We've talked about it in the past on this show. The Russians, the Volkovs, if they were to get a deal to come work for the NWA, I think that's one way to go. Of course, I mean, maybe even pairing George South and Colby Carino together might be an interesting deal. I've heard that they've teamed together in the past. But ultimately, we might see some influx of tag teams that might make sense for the NWA, like the Wolf Zaddies. We'll see what they bring on September 1st to Fight TV. The next question is, why is Thunder Rosa the best woman in wrestling today? I think she proved that. I think the mere fact that she was on that pay-per-view not only drove eyeballs to that show, but made her a legitimate threat. And although she lost to Shida, she looked great in that match. And I honestly think that that's not the last time we'll see those two in the ring. And this one is, I can't see it. Who do you think would be a good addition? Oh, who do I think would be a good addition to the NWA roster? Well, the aforementioned Anthony Idol would be a great addition. We talked about Mike Bennett. He would be a great addition. There's a lot of guys. Watts would be a great addition. See, the thing about the NWA, and one of the things that they've talked about multiple times, is that you have to be able to come to the table and not just have the skills in the ring, but the skills outside the ring. Again, Nick Aldis has said this many, many times. The promos that you get from that Murderers Row, Nick Aldis, James Storm, Eli Drake, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, I know that they're gone, but delivered great promos. When Trevor Murdoch spoke, people listened. So a guy who's going to make an impact has to be able to have the pipes to go with the in-ring skills. So we'll see how that goes. And then who do I think would make a good addition and why. If I'm going to pick one person, if I'm going to pick one wrestler, I'm going to say Joe Henning. Third generation wrestler. His father was Larry the Axe. Or his grandfather was Larry the Axe Henning. His father was Mr. Perfect. And I feel like he never got his just dues with the WWE. And although he had some limited success, I think Joe Henning could be a much bigger name and a much bigger performer in the world of wrestling. He's been laying low. I haven't heard once that he's retired. I haven't heard once that he was stepping away from the ring. So we'll see. Joe Henning would be my vote. So more of your comments, because you guys are talking a lot. All Japan Stan says, now since the show is happening, there's a real chance of a true alliance. Absolutely. And it would make sense for these moving pieces, especially right now. New Japan USA, or New Japan of America, excuse me. Those talents can't even travel to Japan to wrestle. You can't get Kenta back in Japan. Jay White can't get back to Japan. Rocky Romero, Jeff Cobb, none of these guys could get back to Japan. So it would make sense to me to have them take advantage of any opportunity they have, whether that be pay-per-view, whether that be working Power, whether that be working Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. All of these things can only add to their benefit. Lamb says he disagrees. A loss for Jay White would damage him big time. He lost the IWGP title at Wrestle Kingdom 14, but won 2 big matches versus Ibushi and Sonata. A loss for Switchblade is a no-go. I mean, difference of opinion, Lamb. I don't think that New Japan Pro Wrestling is really involved with what the NWA is doing. And right now, the NWA, although it has this rich history and lineage and tradition, it's not at that same level as New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I think that if Jay White were to come in and have a match with Nick Aldis, I think that would be more to create interest for the 10 pounds of gold than it would be to hurt the Switchblade. I just don't think it would hurt him. But that's me. I could be wrong. Willie Bowen says he's an NWA wrestling fan for life. Me too, Willie. All Japan Stan says kayfabe-wise, Bennett has a chance. Shoot-wise, no way. There it is. Jonathan Burnell says he agrees with Robert Stinson that cage matches should be once or twice a year. No more. And feuds need to be hot and should be pinfall or submission, not escape. I agree. I like less gimmicky matches. When I found out that Jeff Cobb didn't make that title defense for Nick Aldis, I was kind of happy because I was more excited to see a one-on-one match with our world's heavyweight champion, as I think the title should be defended not in battle royals, not in three-way dances or ladder matches. I think the title needs to be defended in a match that showcases the best wrestlers, the best grapplers, as Eddie Kingston would say. Jonathan Burrell says, do we know if Trevor Murdoch, James Storm, and Tim Storm will be coming to California for any shows? Nothing has been reported yet, but I have to think with the working relationship, Dave Marquez and Trevor Murdoch go way back, and Murdoch has been out to Hollywood before to work for David Marquez, as has James Storm, as has Tim Storm, and Davis mentioned in the past Tim Storm by name. So yes and no. Are they going to be on the first event? Probably not. Will they be on the second, third, fourth? I don't see why not. Especially because if Aaron Stevens does show up, he needs a good opponent. And I think for the national champion, I don't think you should go outside of the NWA for a challenger. I think it should come from within the NWA. So Craig S. says Howdy Price would make a great NWA manager in his opinion. That isn't a good... I like Howdy Price because I think it's fun and I think it's silly, but I know that's not everyone's opinion. In fact, someone in this chat room right now doesn't think that. So I'll just leave it at that. DKM liked my choice on Joe Henning, so did Dave Scooby. And you know who turned me on to that was actually Will Martin. He brought up a lot of... when we were going back and forth, I was saying Rusev. I wanted to see Rusev But Will Martin brought up Joe Henning, and things started connecting and clicking in ways that Rusev doesn't necessarily click. And I'm not trying to speak bad about Rusev, because I still think ultimately he'd be a great addition to the roster too, but he announced his retirement. So either it's going to be a big bag of money for him to change his mind, or he really wants to work for the NWA. I don't see the latter being the deal, so that's why I kind of stick with Joe Henning. Willie Bowen says Watts. Absolutely. I think Watts would be amazing. I love Watts. I was almost Watts' tag team partner in China. That's a story for another time. Willie Bowen says, how about Samoa Joe and Brian Cage? Could be great additions to the NWA United Wrestling Network. I love Samoa Joe. Let me make this clear. Samoa Joe should have been NWA World's Heavyweight Champion back when Shinya Hashimoto held the title. And I think if the NWA was so revolutionary back then, they could have put that title on Samoa Joe. Could you imagine churning on Impact for the very first time, episode number 1, and instead of them having a gauntlet match to determine 2 number 1 contenders and a world champion in Ken Shamrock, that they just did Ken Shamrock versus Samoa Joe? That match would have been badass. And I know that Shamrock is a legit MMA fighter, but people don't really understand that Samoa Joe is trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing, and he could probably go toe-for-toe with Ken Shamrock. Maybe not. But that when Samoa Joe came to the Impact Zone and ran roughshod over the entire X Division, and when Jeff Jarrett was champion and Samoa Joe had that stare down with him, I really thought that Joe was going to win that title. Of course, the NWA and TNA relationship ended, and we never got that opportunity. But Samoa Joe absolutely 100% would have been an amazing NWA World Heavyweight Champion. It would be a great addition to any roster. Brian Cage, likewise, is a dude who's on fire. He seemingly can do no wrong. He Lucha Underground champion. He was an Impact Wrestling champion. He's now the FTW champion in AEW. And for sure, he could have made an impact anywhere he went. He chose AEW, and I wish him nothing but the best. Jeff Meacham says, Jake Howell on my TV with the 10 pounds of gold up soon, plus Big Boy Burger with red relish for lunch. Best Tuesday ever. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that, man. And I've got my 10 pounds of gold right. It's just out of camera view here, but it's I don't want to drop everything. It's right here. Big fan of the 10 pounds of gold. Always have been. Craig asked if DKM was responding to the Howdy Price comment, and 100% he was. Jonathan Burrell says, would the authors of Pain be worthy opponents for Storm and Drake? Good for mainstream recognition. Yes. More tag teams, better. It's hard because the NWA, United Wrestling Network, they all have limited budgets. It's true. These shows aren't cheap to produce. I've heard that low-end estimates are about $6,000 an episode. That's a lot of money. So bringing in a tag team like the Authors of Pain, I think would be great. But I also think that that they might be cost prohibitive. Anyways, guys, we are running out of time. And it is time for you to head on over to the NWA YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/NWA. And let's watch this 10 pounds of gold together. Let them know that you are here to talk NWA, that you're part of that hashtag NWA fam. Let them know that you were with the pre-party with J-Cal. And who knows, maybe next week. Maybe we do the pre-party in Long Beach, baby. Probably not, but we'll see. But again, guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, all the social medias are at TheAllianceBlog. You can follow us TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff. Of course, you could also check us out. Where else? On Fridays with Will Martin as part of the Hot Tag. And then, of course, my brothers in the NWA hashtag NWA fam will be on after 10 pounds of gold to talk some more NWA with that prize fight talk show. So I hope you guys will join them. And again, it's always been my pleasure to serve you guys here. I hope you enjoy the show. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, share it with your friends. But until next time, I'll see you at the matches. And if I could ever figure out how to get out of here, there it is. Alright guys, have a good one.